In this podcast episode, host Andre explores an expansive conversation with journalist and researcher Jesse Michels, who delves deeply into UFO phenomena, non-human intelligence, consciousness, and the evolving paradigms of reality. Covering historical evidence, modern disclosures, interdimensional theories, the relationship between science and spirituality, and personal transformative experiences, the discussion challenges conventional assumptions and invites listeners to reconsider humanity's place in a much stranger universe. Jesse begins by highlighting a consistent and intriguing aspect of UFO encounters: their frequent appearances around nuclear sites. From Los Alamos during the Manhattan Project to more recent incidents at places like the Hanford site and Vandenberg Air Force Base, UFOs have been reported exhibiting extraordinary behaviors such as disabling nuclear weapons or interacting with missile systems. The historical timeline is outlined with foundational events including the 1947 Roswell crash, subsequent Air Force investigations like Project Blue Book, and the skepticism officially promoted by entities like the Robertson Panel to quell public concern. The repeated presence of UFOs around nuclear facilities worldwide, including international civilian energy sites like Fukushima and Chernobyl, suggests a purposeful monitoring or intervention at the forefront of scientific and military power. This raises vital questions about the intent, capabilities, and potential origins of these unexplained objects. The conversation traces how government attitudes toward UFOs have evolved, referencing key figures such as Nathan Twining, who acknowledged their reality, and whistleblowers like Bob Lazar, who alleged reverse engineering efforts at Area 51. Jess touches on classified projects revealed by the 2017 New York Times report, the Pentagon's acknowledgement of UAPs, and testimonies by intelligence officers like David Grush, who claim knowledge of non-human biological entities and advanced technologies under secret control. The complex interplay between military secrecy, possible technology sharing, and attempts at denial or disinformation form a background to the phenomenon's persistence and growing legitimacy despite historical stigma. Jesse explores the fascinating connection between UFOs and possible breakthrough physics, particularly focusing on electrogravitics and anti-gravity research pioneered by scientists such as Thomas Townsend Brown. The discussion explains how the mid-20th century scientific community, including Nobel laureates and military contractors, investigated gravity and electromagnetic anomalies that defied conventional theories. Brown's experiments, supported by influential figures within the military-industrial complex, suggested a propulsion mechanism fundamentally different from known aerospace technologies. The possibility that much of this research remains classified within departments of energy and defense, juxtaposed with the public stagnation of infrastructure and space programs, points towards significant hidden advances in physics that could transform human capabilities if revealed. The episode delves into the epistemological implications of UFOs and associated phenomena, arguing that encounters challenge the materialist reductionist worldview. Drawing from the work of figures like Donald Hoffman, John Wheeler, and Roger Penrose, Jesse proposes that consciousness may play a central role in collapsing quantum possibilities into observed reality. Experimental parapsychology conducted at major universities and government programs historically studied psychic phenomena, such as mind's influence on quantum systems, lending tentative scientific support to the idea that reality is participatory and malleable. This suggests a paradigm shift, not only in physics, but also in understanding the mind's connection to the cosmos, where conventional distinctions between observer and observed may collapse. Jesse highlights the value of ancient religious narratives and texts, such as biblical visions and Catholic mysticism, as parallel accounts that provide insight into non-human intelligences encountered historically. The research of Diana Pasulka and Jacques Vallée is referenced, showing striking correlations between contemporary UFO abduction motifs and descriptions of angels, spirits, and divine apparitions from the past. These cross-temporal patterns invite reconsideration of religion and ufology as intertwined phenomena, with ancient spiritual experiences potentially reframed as encounters with interdimensional or non-human intelligences. This approach enriches the discussion beyond technological or extraterrestrial interpretations and adds a metaphysical dimension to the phenomena. The commonly reported types of extraterrestrial beings were examined, noting how culture, media, and archetypal psychology shape perceptions. The Greys notably entered the public consciousness around the early 1960s with iconic abduction cases like Betty and Barney Hill, while Nordic types and reptilian descriptions draw from varied historical myths and esoteric traditions. Jesse presents the argument that the humanoid shape of these entities is improbable from an evolutionary standpoint if they came from distant planets, but could be explained if these beings are related to humanity or exist in interdimensional or higher conscious realms. He discusses evolutionary concepts such as neoteny and how these beings might represent either future humans or symbolic constructs shaped through cultural memes, racial memory, and deep psychological archetypes. With empathy and critical rigor, Jesse discusses well-documented alien abduction testimonies, emphasizing the importance of witness credibility while acknowledging the complexity arising from memory, hypnosis, and psychological factors. Cases like Travis Walton's and Mario Wood's are shared as examples where multiple witnesses, polygraph tests, and long-term consistency lend weight to claims that defy simple psychological explanations. The presence of recurring details, including missing time, surgical procedures, and telepathic communication, suggest an interaction with a reality far beyond current scientific comprehension. The discussion also covers the possibility of biological androids or hybrids and the various motivations these beings might have, from genetic experimentation to energy harvesting. A major theme is the notion that what humans perceive as extraterrestrial phenomena may be interdimensional in nature, inherently linked to altered states of consciousness and the limits of human senses. The conversation recounts experiences with DMT, holotropic breathwork, and near-death states as doorways to expanded awareness where contact with these intelligences is more accessible. Jesse suggests that the physical body may act as a limiting filter or compression function on a more expansive, omni-aware consciousness underlying reality. Drawing on Platonic philosophy, esoteric traditions, and modern quantum theories, the notion arises that time, space, and matter are less rigid than traditionally held, making the phenomena difficult to categorize or contain within standard paradigms. Jesse shares his own direct experiences with unexplained aerial phenomena during moments of altered consciousness, including sightings of uniquely shaped craft and metallic orbs, often accompanied by synchronistic events and meaningful interactions. These encounters acted as catalysts in his life, steering him from a conventional career toward deeper investigation and understanding of these mysteries. The emotional and spiritual impact of such experiences illustrates the inherently transformative nature of engaging with these topics, and how they challenge personal worldviews and encourage expanded explorations of reality and being. Throughout the episode, the tension between extraordinary claims and the standards of evidence is explored earnestly. Jesse acknowledges that while the most grandiose theories about aliens and reverse engineering programs require extraordinary proof, there exists a compelling body of empirical, declassified, and eyewitness evidence that cannot be easily dismissed. The episode critiques both the extremes of dogmatic skepticism that ignore accumulating data and uncritical belief that accepts any claim without scrutiny. Instead, Jesse advocates for open, nuanced investigation, accepting the complexity and ambiguity inherent in the subject matter. A recurring undercurrent is the potential for reconciling spirituality and empirical science. Jesse points out how the bifurcation of these domains since the Enlightenment has hindered holistic understanding. He suggests that new scientific models must integrate subjective human experience, consciousness, and metaphysical insights with quantifiable phenomena to fully grapple with the UFO and non-human intelligence puzzle. This holistic approach could lead to a revolutionary paradigm that transcends traditional materialism and incorporates the vast richness of human perception and ancient wisdom traditions. Speculation on the motives of these entities touches on monitoring humanity's use of nuclear and particle physics technologies, possibly to prevent self-destruction or collateral damage to broader realities. Other theories consider these intelligences as entities mining Earth for energy, emotional states, or genetic material, possibly playing various roles from guardianship to exploitation. The episode emphasizes the complexity and unknown nature of these intentions, stressing the need for caution in interpretation and more extensive research before definitive conclusions can be drawn. Finally, the dialogue covers the current state of official acknowledgement and disclosure attempts, with whistleblowers, congressional testimonies, and newly declassified programs revealing a gradual shift toward transparency. However, bureaucratic compartmentalization, secrecy culture, and possible interagency competition complicate public understanding. Jesse expresses frustration over the limited access that researchers and the public have to information that could radically advance mankind's knowledge and technology, underscoring an urgent need for a clear, scientific assessment and honest communication. Jesse highlights the importance of embracing complexity and uncertainty while continuing to explore the intersections of science, consciousness, and unexplained phenomena. He calls for rigorous, open-minded inquiry into quantum mechanics, anti-gravity research, and consciousness studies as promising avenues to unravel some of the mysteries that UFO phenomena present. Reflecting on the limitations of human epistemology itself, he contemplates the possibility of beings between man and God and the aspiration toward higher states of awareness as part of the unfolding story of humanity's evolution and cosmic context.